Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today. I'm with Ethan Forman. Hi, Ethan. How you doing?
Hey Heather, how you doing? Another beautiful day in the seaport. Well,
Well, it's a
I
little
think
gray.
rain is in the forecast,
Yeah. Well,
but hey,
we need rain, but we're
every day
gonna
is a beautiful day in the seaport. It's a wonderful city.
it is. So you're learning about it, and you're learning how wonderful it is.
It is so diverse. It is wonderful. All these crazy neighborhoods. Every time you turn a corner, you look and you go, "Wow!" So
Tell me about
yeah.
one of those moments. What did you have one recently?
Well, I did actually. If you want to talk about a good story,
Yeah.
which is the driving up to the Plum Cove School.
Yes.
So every time I drive up Washington Street, I just can't help I'm going to cause an accident because I'll just be like, look at this, look at this. It's so beautiful.
I know.
Um, but yesterday I did have the pleasure of going to the Plum Cove School on Hickory Street, way up there. Now, I'd only been to that school once before. I think people recall there was a drowning there in the summer,
Mm, mm. Not
and
at the school, but
yeah,
the
there was
woods.
at the quarry up there,
Hmm.
and so I'd never, I've been covering, the pandemic. We don't get around as much as we do, but I was able to get up to the school yesterday. So that was a sad thing that happened in the summer, and Plum Cove School is there, and it was nearby, so it was used for the family. So that was a sad thing. But yesterday, oh my God, it was such a delight. The Plum Cove School is a new playground,
And
and
there's
they
nothing
cut
like
the
a new
ribbon.
playground for kids, right? It's so much fun. Yeah.
It's like the whole school. First thing I got there, the mayor was there, the superintendent was there. We had some pictures with the members of the PTO and some kids. The kids are really cute. And then the whole school came out, and they were like, the principal's like, we're all here, and they're like, yeah, they're all just like, all at once, and it's like what a
And
great
were they
event.
allowed to go running onto the playground at that moment?
Well, they were told no, but a recess happened.
Okay.
The principal was very funny because we're all going to walk around the playground, we're not going to have a recess, but then it just like the kids are climbing all over the place and on the swing. What a great amenity. Now, I was told, I didn't put this in my story. I think that the playground that was there was from equipment from the old Fuller School
Oh, huh.
that was moved
Wow.
there in
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure, but I think the principal had told me that. So the stuff that was there was already used
Yeah. Right. Right.
before it. So it was an old
So what's the
playground.
highlight of this playground? What's the piece that every kid
Oh, the
had to get in
Eiffel
line to get on?
Tower, the
Yeah.
Eiffel Tower.
Why is it called the Eiffel
I
Tower?
don't. It looks like the Eiffel Tower. It's a climbing structure made of ropes,
Yeah.
and it goes up like this.
Oh,
And it's pretty tall,
yeah.
and the kids climb up.
Very cool. And how high
And
do they climb?
I don't know. It's like up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, and this is
It's
elementary school. So like we've
it's
got
yeah,
like,
K-5, and they all climb on it, and it looks great.
yeah.
It looks plenty of handholds. It's roped, and the kids climb up to the top, and they all climb on it. It's wonderful.
Is there still a slide?
Is there a slide? No, no slide.
Yeah. Slides are kind of outdated, I think.
Because the principal said to me that that's directed play, and they don't want play to be directed.
Oh, it
You go on a
has to be.
slide, you go up, down, right,
Yeah.
up, down, direct. This
Yeah.
is this is on non. They had another structure. It's kind of a curvy structure with hoops in it, and you climb on it. But I think the Eiffel Tower was the most popular. And then they had a swing set. And then one little girl was telling me that, oh, we call that the avocado swing because it was green. It was the toddler swing, and it's big, and
Oh,
it looks like an avocado. And the kids get it, right? The playground hasn't been up that long, and they already have all the names for it. So the boring part is this playgrounds was funded through ESSER grants, COVID relief, federal relief.
federal relief. Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, COVID relief.
If that
Listen,
money's getting around.
if you think about the kids who were inside for 2 years,
Yeah.
this is a great outlet for them. A perfect use for any kind of this federal relief for COVID, because these kids are locked up. The PTO and the teachers helped design the playground,
Oh,
and it
interesting.
was installed. I'm not gonna go into all the names. So I don't have it on the tip of my tongue. But It was
They
a
had,
collaboration between the PTO and the teachers to design it.
so
And
they got to choose which, like,
yeah,
multiple
elements. Yeah.
elements, yeah.
So it's built by a private, it's installed by a private company. The DPW did the demolition of the old playground and the site work. They got wood chips everywhere. It's all in wood chips.
Mhm.
And it looks great. And boy, they were so enthusiastic. That's the superintendent said, and he said it last night too. He says, I could cover playground ribbon cuttings all day long, so
So it's fun for everybody, from the kindergartners to the superintendent. That's
yeah,
great.
I want a really cool school. So hats
Yeah.
off to the Plum Cove.
All right. So the city council made a decision not last night. Well,
It was Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Okay. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been following the city council since I've arrived in Gloucester's meeting on Zoom. And you're kind of wondering, so why don't they just go back to the big Kyrouz Auditorium? Beautiful. It's a gem.
It is.
It's just not set up. It's not technologically set up for it. Wi-Fi, wiring.
It's old.
Not. It's old. Not to do the kind of thing that we broadcast or run a meeting. And it needs wiring upgrades, Wi-Fi, other things. I can't get technical because I don't really understand it all. But it's not set up for it. You just can't have the people sitting around in the cars with their laptops open and then expect people at home to hear, and then for people in the public attending talking and then hearing that. It's going to be, you have to mic it properly, and you have to have a screen to show the people who are at home talking. It's a complicated setup. So if you remember, I think it was like in May and June, the city council went to the friend room at the Sawyer Free Library and did these kind of, we're in person and the public is remote, similar to how the school committee has been operating. And that was kind of interesting. The school committee has been meeting in person, and they've had some in-person people come in, but it's remote to the public. So you can call in, and you can talk to the school committee. You can call in now and talk to the city council.
And what room is the school committee using for this?
The Gloucester High Library.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that context, it works for a hybrid situation, both remote and in person, right?
Yeah. So for the school committee, I don't think that they don't get a big attendance. The conundrum for the city council is, if they have a public hearing, they need a larger room, because you can get like 30, 40, 50 people, and the library at the high school wouldn't accommodate that. And none of the other rooms in the schools, we learned at the discussion on Tuesday night, can accommodate it. Maybe the O'Malley, but that would require setup, and the high school's auditorium classroom is also not set up for running hybrid meetings. So the city, they've been wrestling with this. At first, they were going to wait till the Kyrouz was renovated as part of a city hall project, which is in the works, but that's not going to happen next year. The 400th is happening. I don't think they don't want to tear apart City Hall. But the IT director, the information services director, Ryan Knowles, seems to have, over the last couple of meetings, been filling in the council about a way to do it using the wiring, the old runs and the Kyrouz runs, or wiring runs, and not doing new ones, and figuring out a way to create a hybrid meeting space in the Kyrouz. And then there's another component of this as well. The Rose Baker Senior Center is getting a donation, temporary loan of the audiovisual equipment from the Sawyer Free Library. It's on loan.
Oh, while the Sawyer Free is under renovation, they've loaned
Correct.
their equipment.
They're going to loan it out.
Okay.
So, but they don't want to. That is an option to do it. They have a big room, and they want to set up, I think they want to set up 2 or 3 meeting spaces there. And that's an option. That's another option. Well, but again, it's like dominoes. The IT director wants to make sure that the Rose Baker Senior Center's roof is repaired first before they do any kind of that kind of installation. They don't want a leak to ruin any of the library's equipment. So it's a little bit complicated. So Councilor Gilman was trying to say, hey, let's go to the library and do it like the school committee. And the council shut her down. Now, the other component too is that the city that's ongoing as well is they got to figure out who's going to staff the meeting. That's always been a discussion in this. Who's going to staff the meeting? So when they're at the library, somebody had to staff the meeting.
Staff
I think
meeting, run the equipment.
run the equipment.
Yeah.
Now I think they had minimal staffing at the Sawyer Free Library. I think that was not a barrier. I think the clerk, the city clerk, was able to run it. I think Grace Poirier, I think they mentioned her, was able to run the meetings. So it's minimal staffing. It'd be minimal staffing at the Gloucester High Library as well.
Mhm.
It's turnkey. They've already got the system in place.
So Councillor Gilman wanted it to be at the Gloucester High Library, thinking that was the best option, even though it wouldn't facilitate quite as many people as Kyrouz. Is that right? If there was a public.
Yeah, there would be no public at the library. It'd just be the councilors meeting in person. And the reason that she wants this is she wants to facilitate a better legislative communication.
Okay.
Zoom is hard, it's
Yeah.
draining.
Yeah.
And people tend to pontificate more. You have to wait to get into the meeting. A lot of the people who are coming in, it takes a while for them to even speak.
Mhm.
So her and Council Jeff Worthley thought this was a good idea, but the rest of the council was, if we can't serve the public in person, why are we taking this interim measure?
Mhm.
The good news is it looks like they might have a solution to the Kyrouz by February. They have to do something because the remote orders are going to end.
In like March or something? March of
Yeah,
the-
I think that's was in one of the presentations that they're facing end of March, April.
So the governor has signed something that says all.
But they've extended it, and they've allowed for these remote participation. They've allowed for it. There's certain rules. I mean, you can't have some people coming to the meeting and some people being remote. It's going to be all or nothing.
Right.
Now, the other option is the council could go back to the Kyrouz and just go and do it like they did before.
Without
They had
remote.
I've learned it was a delayed tape, and then it was broadcast later. But they like the live and they like the participation.
Yeah, there's so much more participation with the remote, right?
They were saying that they would have meetings and there'd be 2 people there after 8 o'clock, 8:30. But now if they go on Zoom, there's like 15 or 20.
Yeah. I mean, it really has done a lot for access. That's for sure.
And you can watch the meeting later. It's so easy.
Right.
So I think there's benefits to both, and they see benefits to both. They just don't want to take that interim step. And I think the city is talking to 1623 Studios about staffing the meeting. And that's something I've noticed in other communities where I've covered. Peabody, for example, Peabody TV has equipment in the Wigan Auditorium. They have a similar setup to you guys. Peabody and Gloucester have a lot of similarities, except Peabody's not on the water. And Danvers, Mass. It's called DCAT. Another community that I covered did the meetings as well.
They're public access media.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, so they run the public meetings in those cities. Yeah.
So that's what so we'll see if that pans out. That would be great. I think it'd be a win for everybody,
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I'm actually looking forward to going to a council meeting in person. I know it's a little bit more of a logistical challenge.
Yeah.
But for now, no.
Yeah. Nice dedication there, Ethan. Thank you.
My wife doesn't think so, but there you go.
So, well, let's move on quickly before we run out of time. You and I both attended a really special event yesterday. You want to talk about that? Wednesday of this week.
Yeah. On Wednesday, they put back up the Freeman headstones, which is really fascinating. They're as far as I know, the only headstones to a freed Black family that was living in Gloucester during the 18th and 19th century. So a free family, African Americans, and it's the Robert Freeman
and his son,
and it's a headstone to his. There's a headstone to Robert Freeman and his wives, and there's another headstone to his son, who turns out, and a very interesting coincidence, lived at the family homestead was the Wellspring House, which is
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. So Wellspring had been we've been writing about this, but Wellspring, Melissa Diamond, the executive director of Wellspring, which does great work for homelessness and job training and education,
Mhm.
was talking about how they were researching the family, and so was the city-owned cemetery committee, cemetery advisory committee,
Mhm.
at the same time, and they both partnered for a grant through New England Biolabs to restore the headstones, about
Mhm.
$6,000. So their efforts are paying off. And Melissa's saying that not only that, they've also won a grant from the Mass Humanities so that they can do more genealogical research of this family.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot that they don't know. You know, one of the sad things that I didn't include this in my story. One of the sad things, they noticed that they put up the stones in the back of the cemetery, and they noticed a depression next to where their graves were.
And that's where the stones originally were. So they're
Yeah, that's where they were. They put them back.
yeah.
They'd been broken.
Yeah.
And they need to be restored. They were, I guess, encased in cement. They were marble stones. It's a kind of marble that kind of wears
Mhm.
over time. So they encased them in cement,
Mhm.
fully restored. And at the back, you can see a depression. And the Mr. Sarabian, who had done the restoration work, gravesite restoration company out of Winchester, said that that's perhaps where slaves were buried,
Mhm.
unmarked graves.
Unmarked. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very sobering, you know.
It is. Well, there's so many interesting things about that day. So since I was there, I'll make my comments too. First of all, the stones themselves were really, they were beautifully restored. They weighed 600 pounds each, but in their original form, they were kind of important. They were definitely the larger stones in that cemetery. So, and Melissa had said that at one point, the family was really, they lived in the form, what is now Wellspring House. And they owned a lot of land, and they seemed to be pretty well off. Now, by the time the last of that generation died, Hattie Freeman, she was indigent. I mean, she was or destitute. So the money was lost, but they seemed to be, important people in this community, and
Yeah,
their
prosperous and prominent.
yeah, right, right.
So good. It's good. I think it's a wonderful thing. And the mayor was there yesterday as well. Not the mayor tends to go to these things, but he lives right next door. He had a front row seat on this restoration. He lent the guys power and water.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was a strange coincidence, but I think it's sort of appropriate because the 400th plus anniversary is coming up, and the plus is recognizing the contributions to Gloucester for African Americans and indigenous people. And then here you have a nice symbol of this.
And Wellspring is going to spend the next few months doing really, they have a historian on the project to really research this family and the life cycle of this family. So that'll be such a great addition to the Gloucester 400 story, to sort of understand them better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you probably never seen the photograph that Wellspring owns of Hattie Freeman. I think she died in like 1937. Oh, it's
1930. Well, I read 1931, but yeah, they have a photograph.
You could be right. You're probably right. 1931. Yeah. And it's just a really compelling picture. It's, she's looking right at the camera. She's standing in the doorway of Wellspring House, at that point, her home. And it's really beautiful. So that picture, just all the history behind her, maybe three generations, I think, is about to be revealed by this work. It's gonna be
it'd be fascinating to know, like I think Robert Freeman's father, are what his generation, what his story as well.
Right, yeah. Well, that was truly a wonderful event, and people can go to see the headstones now. I think they are in place, and it's in the Bray Street Cemetery, right?
Bray Cemetery, yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah.
It was fun to see the mayor there, and he was really into the whole story, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, a great tie-in to the 400th plus.
All right, well, thank you, Ethan. What are you working on next?
A lot of stuff.
Okay.
The mayor's done the mayor's announcing his ARPA money, how he's going to spend his ARPA money,
Oh, wow.
and the school committee met. They didn't have a lot of people weighing in on the names, school names, and then I haven't watched the school committee meeting on the zones,
Okay, all right.
attendance zones. So I have to
Interesting.
catch
I
up
would
on
have
that.
thought that name meeting would have been packed.
Well, it's a funny thing. Maybe people, how do you get the word out?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know.
Or maybe
Maybe,
people feel as if their name didn't come down to the final four.
or maybe people like the names.
Yeah.
I think there's just shout out. Maybe I like, okay,
Hey.
sure. East veterans. Somebody spoke up for East veterans last night. So, and
Yeah.
I think people were listened to. So hopefully that they get through the 26th and they find a name so we can write about it with a name.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think you're going on vacation. Have a great little vacation. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. All right. Thanks, Ethan. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.